What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Amir Zen Show. Today, we are joined by Grandmaster Wolf, who is somebody who has inspired me a lot over the last many years that I've been studying him and looking into his work. And the practices that he is proficient in are things that we have otherwise been told might not be real, but we can prove that they are real. GM, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, buddy. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today and giving me the honor to pick your brain about many of these topics that are hard to believe for a lot of people. So, quickly, I just wanted to talk about how I first discovered you, which was going down and trying to become more and more proficient in my own mystical practices. And what I found is that GM is one of the only person that I have found so far who is extremely proficient in these mystical and spiritual type practices and has a very full spectrum of knowledge in these topics, which is what I am looking for as well. You know, you have the fighting styles, you have the very calm styles, you put these piece of full spectrum together, and then you get the oneness of this universe. The way I found GM was this book, The Magus of Java. But I read that book and then I said, okay, well, who is out there in the world who can speak English, who can teach me about these topics? Found GM's YouTube channel, which I will have linked below, so you can check out as well and binge all of his videos like I've done over the last over 5 years now, I believe. So GM, I wanted to first start by having people learn a little about your life, of how you got to where you are right now, just the practices that you've done, your martial arts practices, your different mystical practices, and how you kind of connected those into one through all of your different various practices.
Okay. I thought you were going to sell them. Okay. Do you mean the practices that I've put together in order to blah, blah? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You've trained at different schools in different parts of the world, in different types of practices, different martial arts, different mystical practices. And it seems like you've put those practices into a nice full spectrum oneness to create the method that you have.
Gotcha. Very, very simple, my friend. Very simple indeed. There are 30 things that you have to take control of in your life: your body, your imagination or your psychology, and mind. My time in Tibet, 28 years in Tibet, sounds like a movie, doesn't it? 28 years in Tibet, I studied nothing but mind. What is mind? How to approach mind? How to wield it? Your connection to it? What part of mind that you actually are when someone says, "Who are you?" That kind of thing. So in Tibet, that was my time learning about mind. Then I went to China and then joined a Kung Fu monastery, and that was all about body and mind, but in a different way. So for me personally, what I took out of it was all of the practices of controlling mind, being mind, moving in and out of mind, consciousness, understanding it, knowing what it is and identifying with it. Then, after being beaten up and tortured by some nasty Chinese people, I thought, "Ooh, I'll go to China."
I think that's one of the most wild parts of your story, about how when the Chinese communists came after you and almost killed you, correct? You went to that country afterwards, right?
Yeah. So, what does that tell you about me? Duh. So I went, it was the fear. If I see a fear, if anyone on the path to self-mastery has a fear, that's your first port of call. You get there and you figure out what that is. You look your fear in the face and it'll burst into tears and run away from you. If you put your imaginings around your fear, it'll kill you. Simple as that. Anyway, I digress. So my 28 years in Tibet, learning about mind and all of the different aspects and facets of mind. Then I went to China and spent more years in monasteries in China studying Qi, Qigong, body, Kung Fu, mastery of the body, that kind of thing. Qigong, controlling your breath. Not Qigong now, but blah, blah, blah. Control your breath, control your heart rate, control your metabolism, control your everything. You just take control of bodily functions. It doesn't work the other way around. If you do your Kung Fu first and then start to study mind, it'll take you lifetimes. Study mind first and master that. Then you can use that mind to master the body. It doesn't work the other way around. Your mind is invisible, but it can see the body, and therefore it can learn how to control and manipulate the body. The mind itself is invisible, so the body can't see the mind. The body can't do anything with mind because it doesn't see it, it doesn't understand it, it doesn't know what it is. Your body is an animal, the mind is a entity. Very different things. That's it. That's what I did. And psychology, I heavily study psychology because, excuse me, when you study mind and then you study body, there's this thing in the middle that keeps you separate, and that's your psychology. Your psychology is responsible for all of your fears, all of your downfalls, all of your illnesses and diseases. Your psychology is responsible for all of your misery and all the other miseries in the world. All comes from your psychology. And I can explain why that is, but not right now. That's the answer to your question, though. And I don't know what the hell I just said, but I'm sure there's an answer in there.
It's definitely an answer there. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of your story with the Chinese communists who came and almost killed you. Do you have any recommendations for people in this world today who take the wars of governments and the things that, say, soldiers will do and politicians will do? We have things like with Iran and Israel and America and all of these things, Russia and Ukraine, and people get very emotional about these topics. And I understand they're personal for a lot of people, but I can't see that it gets more personal than what you experienced. And you still went down the path of forgiveness. Or could you explain what that experience was, like what you went through with the Chinese, and then how you got over that and then had the power to go to their actual country afterwards?
Okay. Well, let's begin with this. You have to blame someone in order to forgive them. If you were walking around the world forgiving people, well, what were you blaming them for in the first place to go and forgive them? Most people just want to sound hairy-fairy and spiritual. Oh, I forgive you. I love you. I forgive you. But, well, you had to blame them for something before you could forgive them, you asshole. So, stop making it about you. So you have to blame someone to forgive them. I had no blame. It was just confusion. There's no blaming confusion. It's purely like, well, why did they do that? What happened there? Why am I bleeding? Why is this person trying to hang me? You'll never know that by listening to other people's opinions, because opinions are shit. So you go to the people that did it to you and find out how they think. Why do they think like that? Why did they do that? When you have a whole bunch of people who have sacrificed every pleasure in life, and by that I mean children, family, belongings, money, and all this shit that makes people apparently happy. When you got a whole bunch of people, 150, 200 people who've dedicated their life to the betterment of humanity and the betterment of the world, why do you want to go and slaughter them, you dick? So your average person's response to that would be to get angry and fight back. That's what imagination does. You just cause the war. Oh, he did it first. They attacked me first. Oh, you see what I mean? So that's not the case. You look into it and you go, well, what kind of a mentality would do that? You don't have to say that with hatred. You don't have to say that with malice. You say it with true curiosity. Why would someone do that? I could sit here for the next 10 years and try and imagine why someone would do that, but that makes me as stupid as those people because it's their imagination that made them attack me in the first place. So you go and understand them, you learn about it, and as soon as it starts to move into politics, I leave it alone because that's not my place in the world isn't politics. My place in the world is understanding the real nature of life, truth, what it's all about, things like that. And when you do find real truth, it is so damn different to what you think it might be. You just throw your psychology out the window because it's not doing anything for you. I don't know what I just said.
So would you believe in a more pacifist? Would you, or would you the approach that you take to your own personal life? Yeah, I've the belief thing. I want to talk to you about that too. So that's, thank you for saying that. The path that you take, then, would you say that it's more of a pacifist, turn the other cheek approach to this life?
No. You come and punch me in the nose, or you come into my house and threaten my family, I'll put you in hospital. However, I won't be angry. It won't come from anger. It won't come from malice. It won't come from revenge. It'll come from, you need to learn a lesson, buddy. You need to know that you can't do that, certainly not in this house. And I'll teach you a lesson, but it won't be anger. There'll be no shouting or screaming. I'll just very calmly take your arm and break it or do whatever it is I need to do to teach you your lesson. No. However, if it's all verbal, I'm getting tied up here, aren't I? If you attack me, it won't work out for you physically. If you can psychologically, you can throw whatever you like at me. I don't care. It can't touch me. I'm empty. There's nothing in me to respond to that kind of thing. You know, it's the whole thing about being offended. It's not possible to offend someone else. I'm sure you've seen that one. That one. I got a visit from government people about that.
Well, what happened with that? What government people? Where you're currently at?
People said, "Oh, you've been visited by the men in black," and I said, "Well, what?" He had a white shirt on. I said, "Yep." I don't think he was a man in black, but it was. So I don't want to go into it, but I did get a visit from it. But basically, I told them to go away, see what happens.
Awesome. So then, if the approach, because I'm trying to learn for my own self as well. A lot of the people I know as well are going down a spiritual path, but politics is something that still affects people. So what would be the difference then between defending yourself at, so are you saying that your reasoning for self-defense, direct self-defense, is never going to be in revenge? Like, if the Chinese come and do something to you, then you're not going to go back and find some other Chinese guys
No.
and then hurt them for revenge. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't do that. There's no such thing as revenge. If it's not in my face, happening right now, if there's no one stabbing me, shooting me, or punching me, just like I am now, nothing happens, nothing comes of it. It's purely if you are about to injure or hurt my friends or my family, which I don't have, or if you are just for no reason at all other than your own want to go out and hurt other people for no reason, you need to be taught a lesson. But I wouldn't be thinking that at the time. You would learn your lesson, believe me. I would also go and visit you in hospital, which would be a psychological beating. But it works, you know. Some of my best students are people that began it by attacking me. And now they, you know, I can't get rid of them.
That's that is an odd experience that I've had in this matrix, that some of the closest people in your life will originally supposedly be your biggest enemies, and then as soon as you connect, you realize that this person is more similar than you thought. I like to think that your enemies are just a mirror for yourself, so that's why you often hate your enemies so much. But when you actually sit down, if you sit down at a table with your enemies and you just have open dialogue, you'll quickly find that, oh wow, our mindsets are very similar on these certain topics. It's just you're doing it on that side of that line, I'm doing it on this side of this line. um, so yeah, I've just been trying to really understand what the solutions are to these political problems that we're having, because just tit for tat revenge, essentially, which is what modern war has become, um, is obviously not an effective solution. It's not going to get us into an evolved and future reality here by continuing these same practices that have essentially taken us away from source. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you think about a solution to these global problems that we're facing. You had to give people a solution
Oh, that's easy on that one. Do you meditate?
every day.
Okay. I won't ask you how or what, because that could turn into something else. When you finish meditating and stilling your mind and divorcing yourself from your thought processes just for a little while, and your heart is calm and your mind is calm, do you feel like picking up a rifle and going overseas and blowing someone's head off?
Absolutely, the farthest away from that.
Absolutely. So, in all of our education across the planet, including the Chinese, the Russians, and anyone else that might want to blow the shit out of other people, if you were brought up in an education system where it was as compulsory as mathematics in the curriculum to sit down and study your heart and become mindful and study your mind and show and see the disgusting outcomes of anger and revenge and all that bullshit. So if every human being in the world had that in their education, do you think we would be throwing bombs and missiles at people right now? Of course we wouldn't. And that's as simple as that. People were saying that, idiots, morons, they go, oh, you can't just sit on a rock all day and go, and think, well, that's going to stop the wars. Well, of course it doesn't, you dickhead. Everyone in the world has to meditate, and then you will get the world that we're all looking for. But as long as you are brought up with an education that hates white people, or an education that hates Westerners, or an education that hates any religion that's different to yours, blah, 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 then you're going to grow up to throw bombs and sticks and stones and horrible words at each other, and that's your education. It's all in your mind. And that's what makes you an evil prick.
So if saying that the world, the education systems that we have today, oftentimes, very commonly, are coercive. They're forced on us. And growing up, we go to these schools. These are the curriculums that the government, for example, has coerced these institutions to use. Therefore, they put that on us. I'm trying to conceptualize a transition from this world to evolved place where we can get from here to there without using similar strategies as before, which is just mass coercion, essentially. So if you had any advice for how we can get from here with this current education to the education where, well, let's get everybody to meditate. I see that we are transitioning there, but I also see that there are forces that push very hard against that. So what would your recommendation be to flow through that evolution as effectively as possible?
You do it like they do it. You start on the next generation. You won't stop this generation. I'm not talking about this generation specifically. The generation that used to smoke shitloads of cigarettes found out very quickly you can't stop a generation from smoking cigarettes if they've already been smoking cigarettes. So what do? You take away the advertising, you take away the pictures, you take away the posters, you get rid of all that crap until the next generation comes along. That generation won't have it in their face all the time, other than their parents. So that generation, you'll halve the amount of people that are smoking. The generation, because, and there's a reason it's not 100%, is because this generation is watching their parents smoke cigarettes, but they're watching their parents struggle to try and stop smoking cigarettes. So now, for the first time, this generation sees that that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. Then their kids will stop smoking, basically. And that's how it's going to happen. This generation already hates each other. Too late. So you start working on the next generation, which, as you say, is in place. We've taken the hippie meditate on a rock thing. We've taken all of that away and we've replaced it with the wording mindfulness. So now it has a different connotation. It sounds a little bit better to this generation. So this generation, they don't think they're sitting down being hippies anymore. They're just learning the art of self-awareness and mindfulness. So it's already begun.
And then we call it medical science now, which is amazing.
Science. Science has been stealing mystical practices for years, renaming it and then representing it as their own invention. But, science is still a child. Mysticism is an old man. Mysticism's been around as long as people. Science has been around for, at best, 150, 200 years, the way we know it. And as you know, before that, if you're a scientist, you were going to get burnt at the stake. They still do, but in a different way.
That is correct. I've experienced that myself in my own personal life. So
to answer your question, get everyone to be mindful, get everyone to have a look at spirituality, their own spirituality, and move away from that. Then you'll stop living a life purely based on your psychology. And it's not your psychology, someone else put that in you. Your psychology doesn't begin until you start to see who you really are.
And who puts that psychology in you?
Your parents, the radio, the television, your neighbors, the news, teachers. I mean, what are they giving you? They're giving you their opinions, their beliefs, their traditions, their hatreds, their revenges, their bias, their racism. It's all coming from those people. And by the time you're 10 years old, you've got a gamut of someone else's crap, and most of it's horrible. And then you've got to try and make up, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Who am I supposed to be? So once that question comes in, who am I? What am I supposed to be? What have you got at your disposal to get an answer from? 150 million thoughts that come from other people who doesn't follow their own advice. They'll start giving you advice that didn't work for them. They'll tell you to become a religious person, even though it's been the bane of their fucking life. And, you can't blame them because they are acting upon what they think is their duty to bring your children up in such a way that they can handle the world. But you're not. You're bringing them up in such a way as to make the world worse. Don't like that person, he's the wrong color. That one over there's an asshole. She's nice, marry her. Blah, 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 And that goes in now, that becomes you. So when someone says to you, and there's so many dickheads on YouTube, begins with this one, so who are you? It is the most wrong question there is on the fucking planet. If someone can answer that question, you punch them in the face because they don't know what they're talking about. Any answer to the words, the question, who are you? The only place I can get an answer from that I can actually say verbally is going to come from my psychology, from my thoughts. That's not me. Those thoughts weren't even there when I was born. No one has thoughts when you're born. So you're going to go, oh, I am this. I'm this person. I don't know, I'm an African and I like doing this and I like to do that. And this is the kind of car that I like to do. And I won't tell you what kind of pornography I like. But anyway, what are they doing? They're regurgitating thoughts. Who's regurgitating the thoughts? The real person that you ask the question about. But the regurgitating thoughts have no inkling at all whatsoever that there is this awareness thing in there, pressing these thoughts out so that you can hear them. Any answer that comes from your psychology in regards to the question, who are you, is wrong. If you want to know, do you want me to keep going?
Please, yeah, I love this. I love this topic. More people definitely need to recognize the nature of what this reality really is, right?
Oh, you've got no idea, my friend. There's no such thing as sound. If you want to go on with that, I'll explain that later. There's no such thing as anyway, I'm off track. So, who are you? If you want to know who I am, GM, and that GM isn't who I am, that's just two fucking grunts. GM. If you want to know who I am, I can't say it. Nobody can. It's not a possibility, but I can show you who I am. So, if you would like to stop responding to your thoughts, stop responding to your emotions, stop responding to your opinions, stop responding to your misery and your pain and your arthritis and everything else, and most importantly, stop responding to your karma and stop responding to what's expected of you. Take all of that away. Whatever's left and whatever you are and whatever you do at that point, that's the real you. It's that simple.
So I want to transition a little
Thought you might.
and just like kind of evolve this conversation from what you're talking about right now and kind of build on the next levels of what this awareness that you're talking about can mean in your own personal life with the practices that you are very proficient in. One of those practices, which absolutely blew my mind when I learned that you, I believe you used to you said you did this for fun with your friends. The death where you guys would kill yourselves and then come back to life.
Don't say it like that.
Or you would separate your soul from your physical body and explore for a certain amount of time before your soul couldn't come back to connect to this body. And all over the internet and social media and stuff, we're seeing the topic of near-death experiences. And it always, to me, just felt like the people who are talking about this aren't really going all the way. And then when I hear about what you and your friends were doing, voluntarily doing this essentially, and really understanding what the afterlife really is. So could you explain how you voluntarily separate your soul from your physical body, go to the death realm, I believe, and then come back voluntarily?
Sure. It's not the soul, it's you.
So would you say you is the soul, or what is you? Like, what entity would that be?
All right, let's look at the soul for a second, or the supposed soul.
Yeah.
You're born a blank slate, you grow up through life, you learn stuff, you accumulate knowledge about life, etc., etc., etc. And then apparently when you die, all of that information goes into the Akashic records, or if you have a Jewish background, it would go into what's called the Guff, which is a big hall where I guess the Westerners would call limbo or purgatory or something like that. Somewhere where you sit and wait for your next life to come along. which is ridiculous. Getting back to imagination. I don't know which bit to ask. How did I do it, or why did I start it? You got two questions in there.
It's just explaining what it is. What are you doing in this process where you can voluntarily do something that most people on this planet believe is completely involuntary?
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, it's not. I mean,
And what's the science to it if you understand that?
the science, as you and
Yeah.
I well know, and everybody else, as we're speaking right now, that over the world in a lot of surgeries in different hospitals, right now as we speak, there are people having their heart taken out and getting replaced by another heart. There's 1,000 operations that require the stopping of the heart to do it. It happens every day. People, you could call it the Lazarus effect. I'm going to kill you now, but you'll be back in 2 hours and you'll have another heart. Hang in. It's that blasé. So why are people still sitting at home going, oh, we do it all the time, all the time. And there's nothing mysterious about it. This vehicle is not as flimsy as you might think it is. You could do a lot of things with it. It's an amazing thing. You can have, if you've got your Qigong, and not even your Qigong, really, if you've got your self-mastery over your body well in hand, you can have a heart attack and your heart will stop. But if you don't faint at the pain, and you use your upper and lower diaphragm in your breathing techniques, you can pump the blood around your body by using your breath, your diaphragms. Your heart's not moving at all. So you pump you're breathing, so you're getting plenty of oxygen. You're using your diaphragms to move the blood around your body, which means it's getting warm. You can you can keep that up for about 2 hours. So you can get in your car, as long as you're focused, and drive to the hospital and walk in there quite dead and watch the doctors fucking freak out. How did you get in here? You got no heartbeat. Well, I don't need the heart to get that, I don't need it. But I can't keep this up forever, so fibrillate me, fuck you, So, it's so easy. It's nothing. It is nothing. It can be done, but it's your fear that will stop you.
So this practice that you're doing, there has to be somebody else there with you if you're doing this practice. So what they're essentially, are they hitting you in a certain spot to stop your heart and then you separate?
You have the what's called the vagus nerve runs down your carotid artery. You hit that. No harder than that, but it's got to be spot on because it doesn't run on the outside. It's kind of around the back a little bit, so you got to know how to get in there. Anyway, so you hit that. What happens then is it sends a message to the brain, and your brain releases a whole heap of potassium into your system, and that stops your heart and your lungs, and you're dead basically. But the difference is, it's voluntary. You knew what you were in for and you knew what you're going to do, which means there's no surprise. There's no shock factor. There's no, oh my God, I'm having a fucking heart attack factor. There's no survival factor coming into it. All of those are taken away because it's under your control. It's been done voluntarily. In which case, you're not really dead. Your heart's not moving, but you're not that dead. In which case, and you're purely aware, you haven't fallen unconscious and you haven't fainted, which 99% of the time is what happens. So you've stayed conscious, you've remained awake, you've watched the process, you've stopped your own heart. You go into, or out of, depending how you want to see it, you go and do your death practice. And then when you come back, because you don't have all of those damaging factors, creating fear and all sorts of things going on in your body, it doesn't take much to just sit you up and get it all happening again. So when you get sat up, you're sitting up and you're leaning forward, and on the left side between your spine and your left shoulder blade, So you would get this arm and you would just pull it around a little bit like that. And then you just almost iron palm. And then it's just boom. And that goes in through your body. And then your heart will start. And then that's it. You're back, basically. And then it's time for the next person. But we also have these things called a thunderstick. And it's a Taoist thing that I picked up in... anyway, I digress. And a thunderstick is you get about 100 thick, heavy wire coat hangers, and you cut them so you've got, about 75 coat hangers, and you cut them so you've got 75 pieces of strong wire, 30 centimeters long. And then at one end, you fashion a handle around them, and they'll splay out like this. So you've got 75 pieces of wire all splayed out with a handle at the bottom. And when you hit your body with that, all the pieces of wires go and they all hit each other. So you end up with this vibration going through your body. And that can be used to shake the shit off of your lungs if you have bronchitis or anything like that. You just lightly hit them on the back, and this vibration will penetrate about 6 or 7 inches into the body, and it'll shake the crap out of your lungs, and all the stuff falls off, and you cough it up in one big chunk, and it comes out of you. But it's also good for starting the heart. So my point is this: you have a thunderstick, which was the original defibrillator. It's about 2,000 years old, but it still works. And you don't need electricity. It's great.
So what are you, when you're doing this practice, are you going to the same place as the place that you go when you die?
Yeah.
And do you get to, you hear about entities and these things. Is that something that you interact with in that realm in a similar fashion to when somebody would involuntarily have that experience?
Nice. Well put, my friend. Yes. When it's a normal everyday death and you're not ready for it and you haven't done any practice and you don't have any knowing of what's going on. Have you heard my explanation of the ice cube tray? It's the best way I can put it. Yeah.
No.
Consider this. Imagine this. Don't consider it. Imagine that you've got an ice cube tray, filled it with water, froze it. You got 12 ice cubes in the tray. All those ice cubes came from 1 liter of water. So each ice cube is actually related because it came from the same liter of water. So you've got 12 ice cubes. That's your family. 1 ice cube melts. That was Granddad. He turns back into water, goes back into the bottle. Mum dies a couple of years later, melts. That water goes back into the bottle with Granddad. So when everyone's dead, your liter of water's back over here now. So when you die and you turn back into water and you go back into that liter, you are going to be surrounded and infiltrated and saturated by feelings. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I've got a blank. Recognition. When you are in there, you will recognize all of these feelings. You would recognize, oh, that's how I used to feel around my mum. This is how I used to feel when my granddad was there. This happens at the beginning of your death because your brain is still kicking through. You're still imagining. Your brain's still there. You still got brain activity for the next 20, 25 minutes till it runs out of oxygen. So when your average, normal, unknowing dead person dies, they go back into the all, and you're going to get all of these familiar feelings because everyone you've ever known comes from this same place, same liter of water, same spirit. Your brain, still being active, will turn those feelings into the pictures of the person that gave you that feeling when you were alive. So you'll feel some water as you're in this water with everything else now. you'll get a feeling of, oh, that used to be my mum. Your brain will put a picture of your mum there. Your granddad whiffs through you because you're all in the same liter of water now, you see, as water. So you're not separated anymore. You're back as one. So you're in there with your grandfather, your grandmother, your kids, blah, blah, blah. They're all in there, and you're going to feel the whole lot, and your brain's going to put pictures to every feeling. You are going to experience that as, oh, here's my family. And you get taken off to the light, and before you know it, you're being born again. You won't know it because you lost consciousness, and it all starts again until you get to a point in life where you do take control of these things, and then you will experience and stay conscious through your death, and then you will have a choice. But you got to earn it. You got to put the effort in. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So I love what you're saying here. I wanted to ask then, when you go to that place and you're saying, say you come back, you reincarnate, you lose consciousness, you come back as a new consciousness. There is one view that says that, well, there are multiple historical views that talk about this concept that essentially we're stuck in a cycle of hell. And this is a dark world. We see this, in multiple traditions around the world. Christianity's fallen earth. So can we control this cycle? Is this place somewhere our souls want to be? Is this place a voluntary place? If it's involuntary, or voluntary, then why would we be trying to break free from it, and break free from the cycle of reincarnation? I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. What is the point of this world? What is this place? Is this a prison planet, or is this, are we on heaven on earth? Is this a fallen earth? What is this place? Why do we have a choice to be here? Why can't we easily remember past lives, for example, until we go deep into our practices to find them? I guess that was a lot of questions at once, but
It was. Can you put it into a question?
if our goal in our soul's journey is to break free from this place,
Who told you that?
break free, I don't know. There are traditions like, I believe, is it samsara? We're trying to break free from this place. We come and we have these experiences over and over and over. Is this something that we choose, or is this some soul trap planet that we do not voluntarily choose, but we can voluntarily, essentially, prison break from it?
Okay. Quick answer. It's not about you, and it's not about me, and it's not about people. There's a lot more to life than just people. A lot more to life than just people. In fact, as far as life goes, we're not even a smidgen. We're not even one cell on the body of life. And we're still quite pathetic, so we better get our shit together because we will be gotten rid of if we don't. It's not about you and me. It's about life. Life doesn't know what it is, and it needs to know what it is. Imagine yourself floating in space as a mind before the Big Bang. No matter, no dust, no planets, nothing, just space. How would you know you were there? You wouldn't. You have to see something to imply that you're there looking at it. That's the only way. But you could have been there 1 billion years and you just wouldn't know you were there. No body, no thought, nothing. You just wouldn't know you were there. And eventually, of course, the substance of space gets to critical mass and it lights up at some point and it sees itself suddenly and it goes, and that's that. Now we're still in the realms of, what the fuck am I? It asked that question, and it was a lot longer than 4 billion years, believe me, or 15 billion years ago, a lot longer than that. So, while ever you're coming and going in this body of yours, trying to find out what you are and the meaning of life, you will never understand. You will always be confused because it's not about you. You think it's about you. Why am I going to die? Well, you're not going to die. Life doesn't die. If it did, it'd be called death instead of life. It's life. It doesn't die. It's not a possibility. The body does. Your body will come and go 100,000 times, but the awareness, the consciousness that inhabits that, it's the same one. Consider the ocean. A fish gets born in the ocean. That fish is largely made of water, largely made of ocean, because it's never been on land. So the ocean that it's in, it's made up of majorly, and all of the other nutrients and things in that fish also came from that ocean. And then that fish will die, and then another fish will take its place. Can you say that the ocean in that second fish is any different to the ocean in the first one? Of course it's not. So you've got a universe. Let's say it's an ocean of space. It has matter. Everything that is born in this universe is made of that space. So it's the same one. So the only way that space can see itself is to clothe itself in something so it can see itself. Bang, you have a big bang. Now it can see itself. It's got matter all over the place. Now it looks like you and me and worms and cows and aliens and other dimensions and black holes and planets. This is what it looks like, life, when you can see it. And that's all there is to it. How do you know that? Because when something has life in it, that something becomes curious and explorative. When there's no life in it, it has no curiosity and no exploration is going on. So what does that tell you? Life is curious. Therefore, life doesn't know what it is. Otherwise, it'd go straight to the end result and there'd be no curiosity involved. So, and it can do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Imagine how many skin cells have fallen off your body and been replaced in the last 30 years, or however old you are. You might be 22, I don't know.
Me?
But you get the point.
Yeah. I'm 37, by the way, so I'll take 22 though.
You go 32. But you get the idea, okay? It's life. It's about life. Life doesn't know what it is. Life is exploring consciousness, is exploring awareness, it's exploring itself. That's what came with the baby. No thoughts. The psychology has gotten out of control. It's ridiculous. Once again, it's in our education system. Instead of going, what are you thinking about now? And then getting a mark on, oh no, that's wrong thinking, bullshit. That's not education. Real education would be, what are you in there watching those thoughts? That's you.
So I totally agree with what you're saying here. The system's goal essentially is to learn about itself and evolve. Then what would be the point of certain traditions essentially practicing their whole life to say break free from the cycle of reincarnation? Why would we want to break free from the cycle of reincarnation if we would want to be coming here to learn and evolve the system then?
That's someone else's ridiculous notion that you've read or been told about. You won't learn anything from other people. You wanna know what you are. Why the fuck are you asking someone else? You're going to learn what they are from that, aren't you? Or not even. You're going to learn their psychology. And if they have some novel, new imaginings as to how it all came about, you're going to go, oh, wow. And you're going to listen to that. Now you got more fucking shit in your head. All right. What is it when you say, who am I? What does that mean? Do you know what that means? Or does it just sound like a clever word, a clever question to you? Most people, it's just a clever question. It makes them sound special. Who am I? What do you mean when you're saying that? Are you talking about your psychology? The fact that you are spirit and you're invisible means you don't have a mouth. You know, the body, the vehicle that you have has a mouth. It's like a driver in a motor car thinking that the grill belongs to him or her. You know, that grill, the grill in the front of the car, that's not you. That's part of the car. It's not doing anything for you. It's doing everything for the car. The grill means nothing to you. It's got no bearing on your life whatsoever. And it's the same with your body. It's the same with your psychology. It's the same with anything physical. It's got nothing to do with the creature that's in there. Creature's the wrong word, I'm sorry. The entity that's in there, the real you. So you have to use the mouth that came with the body that you have in order to express yourself to someone else. Because you don't have a mouth. You have knowing, and that's enough. Because the mind that has the knowing is the same mind that's in the other person. As you know, probably, I haven't read a book in 30, maybe 40 years. I don't remember. And the reason was way back, many, many years ago, I realized that the mind that wrote these books that I'm reading is the same mind that is reading the book through me. Therefore, that part of the mind that wrote this book must be in me somewhere. So you search for it and you'll find it. And you'll find the mind that wrote the book. Even though that mind wasn't in your body, it was in another part of the world, in another body, in another time, but it's the same mind in all things. So once you understand that and you make contact with that, you stop wasting your life on the imaginings of your psychology, and you start to use the real mind. And the things that you'll see about reality is astounding. Here's one for you. Everybody in the world knows this bit. Everything you see and hear and feel, you're seeing, hearing, and feeling somewhere in the middle of your brain. When you look outside, you think you're looking at a tree. You're not. The sun has hit that thing that we call a tree. The light has bounced off it, gone into your eyes, got changed into electrical impulses. You're seeing a picture somewhere in the middle of your head. You're certainly not seeing the tree at all, as it's far removed. And it's the same with sound and everything else. So your average person has never been outside of their body. When you see these old paintings with halos around saints, that is showing a person that has expanded beyond their skull, the limitations of their skull, and they are now experiencing real life, reality. This is one of the first things you'll notice. There is no such thing as sound outside of the head. There's only pressure waves. If you can get out of your body, if you can get out of your head for 2 seconds, it is dead silent. So what happens? Let's choose a bomb. Bomb goes off. Boom. So pressure wave. Silent. No noise yet. Pressure wave. Pressure wave touches your eardrum. Your eardrum will do that. And now it's creating electrical impulses that your brain will interpret as a sound. Outside of your head, there isn't any sound. There's just pressure waves. It is dead fucking silent out there. When you're looking through your eyes and you're hearing with your ears, there's birds, there's dogs, there's cats, there's boats, there's thunder, there's what you think are noises in the world. They're not. That's all inside your head. Outside of your head, that's what it sounds like. Pressure waves. No sound at all. Sound is an imaginary thing. There is no such thing. You make it up yourself inside your head. Sound doesn't come into play until your eardrum starts to move. Before that happens, it's just pressure waves. No sound, none at all. And that's one thing you'll notice. Another thing you'll notice is when you come into the moment, when you're not thinking, you are in the moment. There's no two ways about it. When you come into the moment, you feel warm, you feel lovely, you feel one with the all, like taking mushrooms, I guess. So what's happened there?
Okay. So with these ideas that you're talking about, they sound similar to simulation theory. do you see the connections between these ancient ideas and this kind of modern rendition?
No. It's imagination. You can talk about all of this shit for the next 20 years, and all you've talked about is imagination. Let's try something real quick.
Let's do it.
Take your big toe on your left foot and slightly press the big toe into your shoe or into the ground. Wherever your foot is irrelevant. Just press your big toe. Put your whole mind into it to the point where you don't even know what I'm saying right now. Feel it. Feel the pressure. Is it itching? Is there pressure? Does it hurt? Just feel that feeling. Now, right now, do you feel like shooting anyone? Do you feel like looking into simulations?
No.
Are you content?
Yes.
That's how easy it is. Now start thinking about simulations, and I wonder if it's like that. I wonder if it's like this. I just showed you what it's like. Your brain is now going to go off and start reading again, looking for simulations. It's that simple. If anyone starts to give you long, drawn-out contrivances that's going to take a 6-week workshop to understand, you're throwing your money away. Completely throwing your money away. This is what happens. When you release, the toe's got nothing to do with it, by the way. Fuck all. All the toe did. All I did there was, this is how you hypnotize people, by the way. All I did there was take your mind away, as far away from your brain as I could, without leaving your body. And of course, that's your toe. So take your brain, put it in your toe, get away from your imagination. Suddenly you're content. You still know everything. You're still going to go through the same day you would go through normally anyway. But without curiosity, well, you will still have curiosity. That's the wrong wording. You won't have any confusion. You won't have any problem. You won't have any fears or revengeful thoughts. You're just in the moment. And this is another thing that screws people up, because when you arrive in the moment, whether you're using meditation or hypnosis or martial arts, whatever it is you're using to focus your mind, when you come into the moment, you suddenly feel at peace, at one, you feel trouble-free, and you just love everything, blah, 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 blah. Your average person will go, wow, this meditation thing's fantastic. It feels great. You're never going to get anywhere else. You're never going to pass that, because you're giving the credit to the meditation, and that's not the case. Feeling warm and comfortable and at one with everything, that's what the moment feels like. It's not what you feel like. It's not what the meditation is doing for you, because it's not. That's like going to the most wonderful party you've ever been to and giving all of the credit to the bus that you got to the party in the first place. Has nothing to do with the bus whatsoever. The bus just took you there. The party is what gave you the thrills and the fun that you have. In meditation, it takes you to the moment. It brings you to the moment and drops you off. And in the moment, it feels warm and it's silent and it's wonderful. And if you could get everyone else to live in the moment, everyone would still do what they do every day, but there would be no war, no revenge, no problem, no hurting each other, I keep saying curiosity, and that's wrong. No confusion. The reason I say that is because confusion comes from curiosity if you're not wielding your curiosity correctly, is all.
Amazing answer. GM, we're at 60 minutes right now. Do you have 10, 15 extra minutes for me to ask you a few more questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was hard 60 minutes. So yeah, I have a few more questions. Would love to ask you a few more. So thank you. I appreciate that. Just please let me know if I go over it. I'll just let me know.
We're doing fine, buddy. Are we enjoying ourselves?
I'm having a fantastic time with you, GM. So, are you enjoying yourselves here? Is everybody enjoying themselves listening to this? Because I'm having a fantastic time here right now. So I appreciate
Excellent.
you, GM.
Me as well.
So I wanted to kind of go off of what you were saying. Then one thing that really resonated with me with your approach to your life is that you don't believe in things. You know, you did it earlier on the show as well when I made the mistake of saying belief. I'm trying to break free completely from that belief mindset as well. And that's one of the reasons that religion never made sense to me. And I noticed from the interviews I've heard from you, organized religion being a belief system, you do have some strong opinions on that. So I wanted to ask you what belief means to you, why people shouldn't have beliefs, and issues that you see with structuring organized religion to somehow express these feelings that we have within, which I feel like, when I said earlier, spirituality expressed is no longer spirituality. To me, I feel like organized religion is literally the attempt to fully express spirituality. And then as a result, you get about as far as possible from spirituality. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Okay. Spirituality, sorry, religion has nothing to do with spirituality, nothing at all. Spirituality is finding the life force in you that is animating that body you inhabit. Spirituality is expanding your mind beyond the psychology of the body. Spirituality is finding that part of you that is one drop of an ocean that everyone else is a part thereof as well, that we call mind. That's spirituality. To do that, you have to go inwards and you have to do experiments and you have to repeat experiments scientifically in order to get the same results every time you do a certain practice. That gives you the scientific credence that you need to keep going with your life. Spirituality means separating truth from bullshit. Absolute truth, not relative truth. Relative truth won't get you to spirituality. Relative truth will just help you survive in life on this planet. Religion has nothing to do with that. Religion is giving the credit to all of your wonderful successes in life, giving credit to an invisible friend of someone that you've never met before. It's got nothing to do with reality. The only good thing about religion, and it's nothing to do with religion either, really, they will say, my religion looks after homeless people. My religion comforts people who are dying and who are ill. No, your religion isn't doing that. Nice people are doing that. Your religion is taking the credit for it. That's what that is. Religion is purely based on belief. Belief, if you are on the path to truth, believe is the dirtiest word in your vocabulary, because a belief is a fantasy. It has nothing to do with truth whatsoever. It's ridiculous. Full-grown scientists today go, I believe this and I believe that. Well, then you shouldn't be a scientist for a start. You're using the wrong words. So
That's been the hard thing for me to break as a scientist myself. It's been a difficult process to separate not having beliefs while being a scientist at the same time.
well, why do you want one? What do you want to believe for? I mean, if you're a child and you really enjoy Father Christmas and you really enjoy the Easter Bunny and things like that, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with belief. If you want to, make a Marvel movie, an Avengers movie or something like that, that's good. That's belief. That's fantasy, and it's not true, but it's fun. Nothing wrong with that. That's what belief does. Fact, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. And you would not believe how many people don't understand it. I had in Australia a 45-year-old man. He owned his own company. He owned a business, a very well running business and everything else. But he got really angry one day. We were sitting at a cafe, we were talking about belief and fact, and it was eating away at him for months, and I know, I watched it happening. He said, "So, GM, I need to know this for a fact." He goes, "So do you believe that you could walk off of that roof of this building and just keep floating in the air and not fall to the ground?" And I said, "No, I don't believe that. That's no. Why? Why do you ask?" And he goes, "So do you believe that if you walk off that roof, you would just fall to the ground?" And I said, "No, I don't believe that at all." He goes, "So you think you could float?" I said, "No, I didn't say that." He goes, "Well, I don't understand you." And I said, "It's very simple. If I walk off that roof, I'll fall to the ground and break my legs. That's a fact." If I thought I could walk off that roof and then float, that's a belief, and I would still break my legs. Big difference. 45 years old, can't get your head around it. He still couldn't get his head around it after that explanation.
So I totally agree with what you're saying here. It's the way that you said, it's like a subjective truth versus an objective truth. So then, what would you say? What are the objective truths of this world then, if you had to communicate that?
There's no such thing. What's your definition of truth?
Something that for example, when you say, if I walk off of that, I'm gonna fall and I'm gonna break my legs, a universally agreed upon principle among humans would be that, if I walk off of that, therefore I'm gonna break my legs. So then, conceptually, that would become an objective truth in this reality if that thing happens enough time with enough different entities experiencing the same thing. That's kind of how I view an objective truth. Whereas a subjective truth is, yeah, it goes down the belief of, well, no, Jesus said this, so therefore it's true. It's like, well, I can't, I can't objectively verify that. I can't talk to Jesus. I don't have any records of that. I don't, so I would just have to believe that that would be true, and it would still be subjective. I can't objectively prove that. So there does seem to be, in just the oneness of the universe, are there objective truths?
There's relative truth and there's absolute truth.
Oh, that's, yeah, relative and absolute. Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
So what are the absolute truth?
Let's use this situation right now. Absolute truth is life is working itself out. It's having conversations in its own head. And this is what it looks like. Absolute truth, life is talking to itself. Life is exploring itself. Life is trying to understand its consciousness, where it came from, and what it is. Obviously, you only need to sit in your front window and look outside for an hour, and you'll see this going on in every creature that's out there. Relative truth is GM sitting here talking to Amir, which isn't really true. That's not the case. That's like me saying I've got 2 skin cells on my knee, and just before they fall off, they started talking to each other.
They might have been.
So we are 2 cells in the body of life, and that one life is in all things, and it's trying to understand and know itself through all things. Next question would be, why are there so many different things then? Because if you want to know yourself fully, you need to know 100% what you are. You need to know every potentiality that you have, every possibility and probability that is in you. You have to know every single bit. If it's possible for you to be a worm, then a worm has to be. If it's possible for you to be a tree, then so be it. If it's possible for you to look like a human being or a monkey with alopecia, so be it. If it's possible for an elephant to have 6 legs, 4 heads, and speak Swahili, then somewhere out there that's happening, if that's possible. So until every possibility and potentiality has been completely exhausted in this universe, life won't know itself. And that's the conundrum. It's not really a conundrum. It's a matter of get rid of your impatience and you'll be fine with it.
So when people say God, what is your conception? Because that would be I feel like it's one of the ultimate belief systems that we have.
Oh, totally.
But I do, there is a oneness of this universe, or a oneness of everything. Um, what is God to you? When people say God, what is that? What is source? Who is the creator? What is the creator? Um,
I just showed you that. Let's do it again. Press your left toe.
oh, there we go. Okay. Yes.
You see what I mean? That's how simple it is. And it is so simple. What I just said then is laughable, it's simple, and it's almost silly, but it is deeply profound. And if you really understood it and you looked at it as I was saying it, not from the viewpoint of Amir or the viewpoint of someone that's interviewing me, you would have had an enlightened experience immediately.
It's true.
Because when you're in the moment and there's no thought, but you're aware of your toe, but you're not thinking, what are you at that point? You're not Amir.
So this practice, this big toe practice, we're gonna suggest this to the religious friends then, to to GM's big toe practice, to be.
People don't give up their religion until they become humble. Because to tell someone you've been following someone else's bullshit belief system for 35 years, you've had the wool pulled over your eyes, ego is not going to let them admit that, even though they know what you're saying is true. Try and talk an alcoholic out of being an alcoholic and you'll see what I mean.
And I went down the path of talking myself out of the religion I grew up with, and then also talking myself out of accepting any new religion, just recognizing the true nature of reality, and that I would have to externalize so much of my spirituality by accepting any of these religions. So I wanted to transition a little. I wanted to talk about this a little earlier, but um, you do these. This is how I found you originally, which is through the. I don't know if you call them remote influencing. I view it that as remote influencing practices, where I've seen you break objects just standing next to them, and you can start fires with your hands, and move objects with your mind. You can influence the physical reality around us.
Like you're doing right now
Like
with
we're
your.
doing right now. I love your finger example, the we're all psychics example. So I would love for you to, Bill, that's kind of where I was going with that, because you made me really, with that one example, you said with the big toe, but in the other ones I've heard you say moving your finger, and that shows your true psychic powers. So could you expand on that a little?
Okay, I'm going to go back to the discussion we had, I think, before we started this interview with the martial arts. Remember that?
Yep.
What was your question?
With the the remote influencing, how does one acquire the powers to, say, start a fire or move objects without any hand movements, just with their mind, essentially?
It's good to use the hand movements, gives it a little bit of flair.
Oh, flair.
Make it look a little cool with the hand going out.
With the martial arts, okay, there is an absolutely wonderful movie out there called Shaolin. And I know there's a lot called Shaolin, but there's a good movie. It's a Chinese movie. Jackie Chan plays the cook. So if you want to find that movie, it's that. And a lot of the movie is about finding yourself and your enlightenment through your martial arts. Excellent film if you ever get to watch it. It's one of those films that you have to read because it's all in subtitle, but it's a brilliant film. This is how you do it through martial arts. There is a book out there called Higher Martial Arts, and I do apologize. I don't remember the guys that wrote it because it's been a long time since I read the book. 2 Chinese masters, Higher Martial Arts, and they teach how to use your martial arts to gain enlightenment as opposed to just using it to punch the crap out of people. And this is how it works. The moment you make a decision to start studying self through martial arts, let's say we've been doing it for a year, and today we've gotten up and we're about to go training in our martial arts for our mind. You've already begun your training because you had an intent. Your intention is to expand your mind a little bit further today, go a little bit deeper today with your martial arts. So the intent is there. That's your first move to your first punch. You have an intention to do that. But your intent is invisible. Your brain has to take that intent and turn it into a picture. Then it can read it. It knows what the intention is. But until your intention goes into the brain, your brain doesn't even know what you're about to do. So you have an intention. I'm going to expand my mind through using my punching bag today. That's your intent. That intention will then go into your brain. Your brain will turn it into a picture that it can digest. And then it will start going down the appropriate road and firing off the appropriate impulses to start your muscles moving correctly. So in martial arts, you watch yourself. In the book, they refer to your brain as the commander, and then your impulses as being the generals, and then your muscles eventually are the army, the soldiers. And there's a chain of command that goes from the top guy all the way down to the soldier, and that's how you make something happen. This is how they look at it. And in the same way, you have an intent. There's the master, that's the president or whatever. Your brain will turn that into a picture. That's your generals putting a strategy together, blah, 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 blah. So when you're watching it, you watch the intent. You watch it come into the brain. You watch the brain turning that into a thought process and a concept. Suddenly you'll feel a nerve twitch in your foot. Your heel will start to come up because anyone that knows how to punch knows that a punch comes from the back foot. Boom. Pushing from the back foot. So you'll see your back foot come up off the ground. You'll see your gastrocnemius, solaris gastrocnemius, calf muscle. Thank you. You'll see your calf muscle starting to tense up, and then your thighs will tense up and your hamstring will release so that you've got a push forward. You'll then notice that your hip flexors kick in and your obliques actually start to turn. Who would have thought? Front delt brings your arm around, triceps start to extend, front delt keeps this on the motion going forward. Eventually, it's going to hit it. If you're not following that all the way through that process from intention to actual hitting, you're not doing martial arts. You're not watching. You're missing the most important part. The intent is the most important part. And that's how you do martial arts and learn about yourself and reach enlightenment through your martial arts. There's no different to any other form of meditation. It's just deeper, and it's a moving meditation because you're moving, but you are being one with the process all the way from spirit to punching bag. When you can do that, your martial arts will enlighten you.
So, it sounds like I was telling you earlier, I've done a lot of iron body training throughout my life. And something that I notice, when you're breaking through something, I'm, it's coming from my intention, and I could feel the thing breaking, and I set that intention. And when I set everything up very slowly in my mind that everything's connecting exactly how you're explaining. So are you saying that say bending a spoon with your mind, or say breaking something or lighting something on fire. Say you're a martial artist and you want to evolve to this next level. Is it a similar mindset that you're using? Because it sounds like it's a similar mindset. And when
No,
I do
it's not similar. It's the same one.
same, okay, same, yeah.
So what you're doing is, in following that process from spirit to punching bag, somewhere along that process, you will realize what you are in there, and you will realize that you are moving a dead body. You're realizing that without that intent, without that brain going through that process, you'd just be laying on the floor. Nothing would be happening. So you're learning and seeing how you are using an intention, how that intent turns into a psychokinetic movement in a dead chunk of meat. You'll see how you are animating it. And don't go, oh, I thought it was electrical impulses. No, how did you make the electrical impulse? You're starting your observation halfway down the fucking line. You see, how do you eat an apple and 20 minutes later turn that into electrical impulses? How are you doing that? Have you watched that? No, of course you haven't. And that's where it comes from. And then when you go, that's how I'm doing it, you just extend that past your hand into the spoon, and there'll be no gaps. It'll just do it.
I see. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to ask you then if there is a specific meditation that you do when you want to get into these states, and if it's possible for you to guide us through a short meditation that you would recommend for becoming one with yourself and potentially harnessing the full powers of the oneness of yourself, essentially.
How to get into the trance is what you're asking.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess we're always. For me, I feel like I feel like I can bring the state on very quick, but I've also been practicing for many years. So for people who are actually, before we go into that, I wanted you to just mention really quick because we talked about this briefly before we started recording about the frauds in this space who, you said, I'm like, oh, they're lighting the newspaper on fire. And you said, oh yeah, there was a guy just underneath them lighting a lighter on fire, then it lights. But that's, I from seeing your things, I'm like, wait, this is pretty real what you're doing. It's kind of hard to fake some of the things that you are doing. So are there a lot of frauds in this space of remote influencing?
Oh shit, yeah. Everyone in the world wants to be special somehow, even if they have to use trickery to do it. Most magical tricks actually come from or based on real things that they've seen in the past, and they think, wow, I'd love to be able to do that, but I'll never be able to do that. So I'm going to come up with a way of making it look like I can do that. And then I can have the same respect that this guy gets because he can do it. And then they'll spend the next 10 years learning how to be an absolute asshole, basically, and how to trick people and how to get money out of people who are dying. And, I don't like these people. I forgot your question, buddy.
Yeah, I have a problem with these people as well, because they make our ideas, these ideas that we're promoting, they discredit them, they invalidate them to a lot of people who would otherwise learn them. And they say, well, if they're all scammers, then I mean, it would make sense. If the majority of people I'm seeing are scammers, then this is probably going to be a scam all the way through.
Yeah, governments use that strategy a lot. So yes. And what was the question I was going to answer before you segued into that one?
The remote influencing practices and how people can get more into these practices essentially. And then we were talking a little bit about the frauds too. If you want to expand any more on the frauds, people need to hear how this stuff is actually real. It's just, it does take some work to accomplish. And it seems oftentimes that being a fraud is easier than just putting in this work of just sitting in a deep, long meditation, you know?
It took me probably 45 years before I could move anything under control. I did it quite often accidentally, and most people do.
Yeah.
Most humans on the planet today have had paranormal experiences as children, and they tell everyone, they tell their parents, they tell their siblings, and after a while you get sick and tired of, oh, you were just dreaming, that's bullshit. You know, once you hear that as a child often enough, you'll drop it, and that's the end of your abilities. Thank you, adults. So that's what happens there. I'm struggling to decide which question to answer first, so I'll answer the telekinetic one first. This is how easy it isn't. Do you have something there that you can bend? You're not going to bend it. We're not going to do that. Or move.
Yeah.
You got something there?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
This battery.
That'll do. Put the battery down in front of you for a sec. Now I want you to take 2 really slow breaths through your nose. Really slow to the count of 4. I'm not going to count. You know this exercise already. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4 with your whole fucking mind. Do it twice until there is no thoughts in your mind whatsoever. Absolute dead silence. And when you've done that, open your eyes. Can you move the battery without calling it a battery? It's that simple. So I took you to the state of mind. You took yourself to the state of mind required, which is no thought. When there's no thought, there's no barrier, there's no filtration system, there's nothing in there that can work against you. You just got pure mind. The mind that was creating thoughts is now sitting there waiting for you to give it its next order, which will be to move the battery. Now here's the downfall and here's the trick. How do you get to the battery and move it without your thoughts saying, now I'm going to move the battery?
Right. Yeah. Without the English language coming into my head, essentially. Right.
Exactly. And we've already done the exercise and we already know how with your martial arts. Your intent is invisible. It comes into the brain turns it into a picture. That's the bit you got to stop. Come straight from the intention. Bypass the middle guy, which you call Amir. Bypass the middle guy, straight to the battery. How do you do that without calling it a battery? How do you do that without now deciding to move the battery? How do you do that coming from pure intent? That's the only practice in the world that has any bona fide outcome for everything. Enlightenment, everything.
I'm glad that I heard the 45-year thing, because I've been trying to practice this for years now and I have not become that proficient in it, but I didn't become proficient in iron body training after 5 years either. So it did take me about, I'd say, 20 years to become comfortable in. So I guess maybe a little more practice. That's kind of the block I've been having, which is I did train iron body and some of these physical training stuff so much over the years that it's the same state, but I feel like I have to go much deeper, and I don't know if that's because I have more training in one than the other.
Your objective is wrong. If you want to win, if you want to become an Olympic swimming champion, do you jump into the pool to get wet? No, you don't. You get in the pool to exercise, it gets better and stronger. The getting wet is just a byproduct of what you're doing, and you can't stop it. Your telekinetic experiences are exactly the same. Don't focus on those. That won't get you fucking anywhere. You focus on your enlightenment, and because you're training to be a swimmer, your training obviously necessarily means you got to jump into a pool at some point. You got to jump in the water, and you're going to get wet. When you are aiming for enlightenment, inevitably you got to go through a certain stage of mind to get to your enlightened state, or to create or awaken your enlightened state. That mind is like getting wet in the swimming pool. That mind has the cities, which is the what you're talking about. Your cities are when you suddenly realize you can move something without touching it. You can bend something. You can remote view, whatever. If you aim for that, that will never happen. If your aim to be an Olympic swimmer, if that's your aim, but all you do is put your hand under the tap and get your hand wet, you would be seen as an absolute moron, and you would end up in a mental institution. You see what I'm getting at?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Aim for your enlightenment, and your paranormal experiences will come naturally. Don't focus on them, because you won't get anywhere.
That's I totally, that makes so much sense too, because I noticed with my iron body training, if I want to break through something and I keep thinking I'm going to break through this, I will oftentimes not break through it. But then when I just become the most aware just of around the surroundings and just myself, it goes through, and then I'm thinking, well, how did I do that? I didn't even think about it. I just did it.
That's how it works. It's your psychology that was stopping you. You know, under hypnosis, if I was going to do street hypnosis, I'm quite a proficient hypnotist, by the way, believe it or not. Under hypnosis, if I say to you, let's say I want to stick your hand to the table, you've seen that one done. Yeah. If I stick your hand to the table under hypnosis, and then I say to you, okay, move your hand, you'll just pick your hand up.
Yeah.
If I stick your hand to the table and I go, try and pick that up, I've already inferred that you can't, just by changing that one word. So what are you doing? I'm going to try and break this board. You've just inferred that you can't do it, and it probably won't occur for you. Same thing. To stop saying try and do, don't try.
Just be. All right. I love that. GM, well, we gotta wrap up, I guess. I'll talk to you for 6 hours here, but I want to respect your time. So
let's do another one instead. Let's just do a couple of these instead of just trying to fit it all into the one. I'm fine with it.
That would be an honor. I would definitely love to talk to you more about martial arts practices and your views on a lot of the physical stuff as well. And just essentially connecting the dots. My goal in life has been to connect all the pieces of the universe into oneness, and that's the path I'm on in this life, to figure out how to do that and then share that with the world in the most simplified way that can reach the most people. And I love that you do that, and you do that in such a unique and effective way that I felt the world needs to know and hear more about it, which is why I wanted to interview you. So I just wanted to hear your final thoughts, and if you had to give recommendations to people who are going down this road and give them action items on, if they're not too proficient, I view myself as semi kind of proficient. I have a baseline level, but there are a lot of people who are just getting a lot of this knowledge off of short clips on TikTok and Instagram, for example. And I noticed that takes them off the wrong path. So if you had to guide somebody who's learning about this stuff right now, and show them this is the path to take, what would you suggest?
That was an evil laugh, wasn't it? My favorite that I give what I would consider serious students: don't speak one single word for 5 days to anyone. You can text, you can write little post-it notes to each other, especially if you're going shopping. You might want to write something like, excuse me, where do you keep the bread, or whatever. You can email, you can do anything. Just don't open your freaking mouth. Do not say a single word. And you will become so damned proficient at watching what you were just about to say and what's going on in your head. You will be amazed at what you see and what you realize, and your spirituality just in that 1 5-day week will fly forward at an exponential rate. You'll see the opinions that you were going to say. You'll see the words that you were going to say just to fill in time. You'll see some of the stupid things you were going to say. Many things that happen, many things. And eventually, halfway through it, you eventually come to this conclusion: what the hell am I in here watching these thoughts, trying to stop them from coming out of my mouth? And you realize that what you're watching is what you used to think was self. And it was that self that you thought you were developing, but you weren't. You were just filling it up with more shit, creating a fatter self. So now your average person has a morbidly obese ego for that reason, because they think about self is about gaining more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge. The self that you have that you're not happy with, so unhappy with it, you're trying to get rid of it. That's the case, isn't it? So you got this self, it's giving you a miserable life. You don't like it, it's not working for you. So you want to get to know self, real self, and do something about it so your life can be blissful again. So what do? You start to force feed the self. More books, more information, more crap, more belief, more YouTube, more Facebook. So your ego is becoming morbidly obese, but in the background, you're thinking, wow, I'm knowledgeable. Yeah, but you're still a fucking idiot, and you're still sick, and you're still ill, and you're still depressed. Yeah, read another 10 books. I bet you're even more friggin' depressed. You see what I'm saying? So once you will realize by watching all of this going on that you are not that, you are something other, you are invisible, but you are all knowing. You're knowing, your brain constantly steals your knowing and turns it into a thought process. So now your knowing is psychology, which will do nothing for you. And then you realize what you are in there. And then you'll start searching for the real self. Well, you won't search because you'll have found it, but you'll start to explore the real self, the self that's been watching this ego grow, but hasn't been able to do anything about it because you haven't done anything in the way of becoming aware of your internal self. It's that simple. So watch yourself. If your name is Bob or Susan, watch Bob. If you are Bob, watch Bob. If you're not Bob, you are someone watching and observing and having to go through all of Bob's life. Your average person is like someone sitting on a horse, but you are blindfolded and your hands are tied behind your back. So you're not going to live your life, you're going to live the horse's life. Wherever that horse goes, you've got to go with it. Whatever it drinks, you got to sit there and wait for that to finish. When the horse is eating, you got to sit there and wait for that. But you're not going to see any of it because you're blind, you're blindfolded, and your hands are tied behind your back. So you just got to go through this life based on this semi-dumb animal. And at the end of it all, you're going to think that that was your life. But it's not. Take the handcuffs off, take the blindfold off, and start to guide the horse. And you will both end up becoming equestrian masters if that's how you want to be with it. Otherwise, it's going to kill you. And it's the same with your body. It's your horse. But if you're not watching it, you're not watching why it does what it does and why it does what it does and where it got those stupid beliefs from. If you're not watching any of that, you're just along for the ride, and it ain't your life. It's your horse's life. And the brain of that horse is made up of all of the people that educated you. That's reality, one of them.
That is that amazing. All right, so you're listening to this right now. Take the GM 5-day silence challenge and see what happens after 5 days. You know, I'm probably gonna have to take you up on that myself, because I don't think I've ever gone 5 days without saying a word myself. So,
and it would be nice if some of the people listening to this, if they do manage the 5-day thing. By the way, if you fail and you start talking after the second day, if you go, "Oh, hello," ooh, start again. That's not acceptable. You have to start again. So if they could write in, the people that succeeded, if they could write some comments and share what happened and the experiences they had, that would be wonderful, and it will help a lot of people. So
if we go,
help each other, guys. You help each other, you'll all be enlightened, you'll all be self-mastered. You keep working against each other, the world's going to be just as shitty in 100 years as it is now. See you guys. Love everyone. Take care.
I think we got a new viral trend for ourselves here for social media. Hopefully, we can turn this into a cool trend and get all the people doing the GM 5-day silence challenge. We'll name it. So GM, thank you so much for being with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for going over on our time too. If people want to learn more about you and just experience more of the GM world, where can they find you and where can they learn more about you?
I don't know.
I'll tell them. All right. So on YouTube, make sure to go to GM's YouTube channel here below. The link is here. And what I would recommend you do is what I did when I first found GM, is go to the first video, scroll back all the way down. It's years back. I think you're at 6 or 7 years on YouTube now, GM. And you will find, just go to video 1 and just watch all the way through. And then when you're done with every video on GM's YouTube channel, go and type in his name, GM Wolf, into YouTube, and then watch the other interviews of him so that you can learn more about him through the other interviews he's done. And I believe you do consulting as well.
Yeah, one-on-one consulting online. Basically, my online consultation is for businesses and companies and people who want to be able to control their minds and control their bodies. People contact me through my work as a consultant in order to learn spiritual things from me as well, which I'm fine with. But I'd just like to say this. I don't have any teachings at all. I have observances and I've had experiences, and it has made me what I am today. If you want to know how I do what I do and how I become what I become, you can approach me through my work. We can have one-on-one consultations on your spiritual practices. If you're doing anything wrong, if you've been practicing something for 10 years and you're making no headway, obviously you're doing something wrong. I can help you with those things. But what I wanted to say is everything that I know is already online for nothing. I don't sell spirituality. I'm an online consultant for companies, business people, and people with mental health issues. But if you want to get in touch with me through that venue for spiritual reasons, I'm fine with that as well. So as far as I know, and I could be wrong, I'm the only mystic at the moment who's actually offering one-on-one consultation and advice, because I don't think I don't subscribe to workshops, and I don't subscribe to putting 150 people in front of me and trying to explain their spirituality to 150 people, because you're all different. It doesn't work. I have people saying, "Oh, I've been to this workshop 10 times now." Well, you're fucking working then, is it? Once you know something, you just go off and do it. You don't need anyway. See you later, mate.
And you can find that at gmwolf.org. And you could go sign up on the contact form there, and a very kind person will get back to you and help you get connected with GM. So GM, thank you so much for joining me. Many blessings to you. Thank you for what you do. Sorry, what was that?
I've had a ball, buddy. It's been fun.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you again for joining me. Hopefully we can do it again sooner than later.
Oh, I'd love to.